Welcome to the allyoucanheat.com on-air hangout. I'm Wes Goldberg, editor of All You Can Heat. With me is David Ramil, you know him from the podcast, and Jimmy Cook, writer for All You Can Heat, who was on the podcast, I think, once.
Yep.
Am I right?
One time, solo shot.
Yeah. So we're doing this hangout because we got a lot to talk about. NBA free agency started at midnight, and there's been like a million different rumors. Miami Heat are apparently signing 38 different players this season. And among them are Kyle Lowry, Luol Deng, Trevor Ariza, Marcin Gortat, Marvin Williams, Steve Blake. They're getting a haul this offseason, according to the rumors.
The bench is gonna be deep. It's gonna be great. Woohoo!
So let's go around the internet room here, and what's the most believable rumor that you guys have heard so far? Let's start with you, David.
I think that the interest in Luol Deng is pretty legitimate, although I think that I guess they were seeing him as being able to fill in for Shane Battier in the starting lineup, so they see him as kind of that small forward position, but from all I've heard, he's a little out of our price range, so I'm not sure exactly. I don't think that he's a legitimate option to come to Miami, but it seems like he'd be a good fit, although his shooting isn't ideal for our spacing model, so I'm not sure how that would work out. But I mean, he's a nice veteran. I mean, he's got a good reputation, and he's a hard worker. He certainly was in Chicago, but I don't know. I'm not sure if he fits in with what's going on with Miami, so that'd be an interesting matchup there.
Yeah, I like the defense of Luol Deng. He can hit the corner three. That's one shot he does have, and that could definitely help. But you're right. Like, just overall, his spacing might not work. It looks like Jimmy's on the phone though. So Jimmy, what do you got going on?
Sorry. Yeah, I just got a call from Chris Broussard. I think the most believable thing that's going on right now, I think trading Dwayne Wade straight up from Melo, sign and trade possibly, is what I've heard going around.
Okay.
No, I completely agree with David. I think the best option we have out there, at least believable, is Luol Deng. That would make a lot of sense to me, especially on the defense. And the only thing that I'm kind of fearful of, which somebody did point out that remember how it worked out, if it was he turned it down or how it all worked out, but the big deal Chicago had for him that he turned down last year. I can't remember if it was mid-season or if it was before the season actually started. And, I mean, he could probably make a lot more money elsewhere, but the thing about Miami is their biggest advantage, other than not having the pay cuts to go off of, the income taxes to go off of in South Beach. You can win a championship feasibly every year as long as you don't run into the greatest form of team basketball ever created since, James Naismith himself. So, anyway, I think Luol Deng's probably the most believable one at this point. And, yeah, that's my thoughts on that.
So you both think that Deng is more believable than Lowry at this point, even though there are reports that both of them are probably not going to want to take a pay cut.
I would love to have Lowry. I really would. Like, it'd be fantastic. And whether or not, I think people were just assuming Chalmers is going to be gone at this point. Like, I haven't heard him discussed in any rotation whatsoever. I've heard Napier. I've heard Cole. I mean, I don't know. If you can get Lowry, then of course, I mean, he'd be the best fit for Miami's offense. But at the same time, he's 28. He can get, if Toronto adds a year to that deal, it's pretty much game over.
All right, so let me pitch this question to you guys. We got a few point guards that the Heat have been linked to. Lowry, obviously. There was a report late last night / early in the morning that the Heat were talking about Isaiah Thomas from the Kings. And then, of course, there's Jameer Nelson from the Magic, recently waived. We got Chalmers as technically a free agent. And then there was that random, Steve Blake mention that the Heat are targeting Steve Blake as a possible depth point guard. Of all those guys, what's your hierarchy, including everything involved, including, talent of the player as well as possible price that player might sign for? What's your hierarchy there? Lowry obviously being number one.
Well, would you put him at number one? I mean, he's out of our price range. I mean, he's at a point right now in his career. I all along thought that he was going to be, too high for too rich for our blood because, he's in a contract year, and he knew it, and he played out of his mind for the first time in his career, realistically. And I think he's going to want that big contract because represents his best last chance to do so. So he's not going to take less, even if Miami offers him a good chance at winning. So he's got a good situation in Toronto. He can at least fake being competitive there. They're not a realistic title contender, but I mean, he can at least, come out to the media and say, "Oh, I love it. These are my brothers. I really want to stay here and build something," even as they continue to fight for the 4th or 5th seed in the Eastern Conference.
But he wants that championship, though. He wants the title, and I'm sorry, but that is not happening across the border. Bosch found that out the hard way. So I mean, I agree with you though. Money-wise, it makes sense. Financially, it makes sense. But if you're hungry for that championship, why not go to a Houston or a Miami? I mean, I don't know. I think Toronto, I mean, they got beat by the old men from the nursing home in the form of the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, 7-game series, Paul Pierce blocked them.
But what makes you think that he really wants the title all that badly? Just because he says so publicly? I mean, Carmelo's, everything that Carmelo's done throughout his career indicates he wants money over a title. But
Melo loves the money, though. Melo, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, I agree with that, but I just think I was working on an article, and unfortunately, I didn't get to post it because ESPN went and broke the Wade opted out story, which is half of the piece. Yeah, and so I couldn't use it, but there's two people, which it also is broken because of the LeBron max deal scenario now. LeBron, Wade, and Bosch were the form of the people that didn't care about the money anymore, that wanted to win the championships, and Melo has wanted big salaries over the course of his career. And he's really stable financially. Not that LeBron and Wade and Bosch aren't, but I don't know what kind of player Lowry is. I don't know if he's the Melo type where he wants the money, or if he's the LeBron type where he's willing to maybe take a little bit less and try to win a championship.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. If this report of Wade and Bosch taking a little bit less money than we thought that they were going to originally take is true, if they do sign for that $10, $12 million range, the Heat will have enough money to potentially match the reported $12 to $15 million that the Raptors are going to offer. Do you basically blow your load on Lowry, and basically just make that and just fill out the roster of minimum guys?
Phrasing.
Or do you bypass matching that Lowry offer, basically laying, hey, we'll give you $14 million and you can come compete for a real championship in Miami, or use that money on guys like just more role players, the guys we were talking about, Luol Deng, possibly Marvin Williams, guys like that.
How old are the role players?
Less than $15 million.
How old are the role players? It's a question because I mean, it's just personal opinion. I think the Heat managed Dwayne absolutely beautifully last season. Health-wise, everything they did with his knees, my biggest thing was, okay, this had better get us to the finals. If you're going to rest him as much as you are and you're going to watch his knees as much as you are, this better get us to the finals. It did that. I know it's ridiculous, but if you're a or not a conspiracy theorist, but if you're trying to figure out what happened to Wade, only person that cramped up in that AC game was LeBron. Wade and Bosch put everything out. Not that LeBron didn't, but they put everything out there. And then Wade kind of, you could argue his decrease happened towards the end of the Eastern Conference Finals, but he was clearly out of wind. Rashard Lewis can't carry you to a championship. Battier wasn't really utilized that much. Beasley was wearing a suit going to church in between games. I mean, I don't know. I just think that...
So you say role players. You say role players for 1 point guard.
If they're young. If they're young. If not, go grab Lowry and then be doing what you're doing, I guess. I don't know.
I think you go with role players. I think, and I don't really care about their ages because I think, to be honest with you, once you get older, at least the model that we've seen successfully over the last few years with Miami is that they get a little bit more title hungry because they want that championship. They want to add that to their resume. So I think a guy like Jameer Nelson still has some game left in him. He's a mistake that Riley passed him up a couple of years ago in the 2004 draft. So yeah. I think it makes sense for him to come to Miami, compete for a championship. He's been a competitor, so I think he's a good fit here. I think that's the kind of guy that Riley would want to see here, somebody that's proven. I think as long as you've got a guy like Napier, maybe a Marvin Williams, maybe a James Enos, somebody who can come in there and kind of bolster your rotation with some youth and athleticism, you still want those veterans that are going to be competitive and have an eye on the title, because that's ultimately what's counts for Miami, that they want to continue to build their legacy, etc. So they're going for rings, man. So I think when you look at that, you want veterans that are more interested in that. Rookies or even younger players like Lowry, They want the money at this point in their career. Maybe when he's 5 or 6 years older and he hasn't achieved anything in Toronto, then he'll say, yeah, sure, I want that title. But for now, I think he's more interested in money. So you kind of, instead of spending all your money on a big name like that, you kind of bolster it with a free agent. I
do have 2 quick questions. One, and I mean, I'm feeling lazy not doing the math right now, so I might make you guys do it. If we sign Lowry, if that happens, and the Bosch and Wade stuff is true, they're each taking like 10 to 12 million, and LeBron stuff is true, which, by the way, 10 and 12 million only makes sense to me if LeBron's actually taking a max deal. So assuming he's taking that max deal, where are we at as far as salary is concerned? Are we still in like small double figures, or are we at single digits at that point?
Yeah, that's $56 million, I think, between the 3 of them. If you're looking at $12 million per for each of those 3 players, and then $20 million for LeBron, that's $56 million. I think there goes our salary cap. So you still got a mid-level exception. You still got a couple other things that you can do to acquire a player here and there. But I mean,
wait, can you even get Lowry if the 10 and 12 million is true?
Yes, you can. You could technically you can match an offer from Toronto around $14 million, and then you would have the mid-level exception. Which could potentially bring a guy like Vince Carter or Sean Marion in if they're really title hungry and willing to leave some money on the table.
I take away my thing then.
And then you're looking at, and then you could sign basically as many minimum offer guys as you want.
White flag. I say forget Lowry. I say go after role players because, I mean, regardless of if age is a factor, I completely agree with what David said now because at this point. Lowry isn't going to cut it. One guy isn't going to change it.
Is that if they do sign Lowry, right, now they go to LeBron and they say, okay, Bosch and Wade are saying they're going to take 10 and 12 million each. We got Lowry at 14. He's about to commit. If you take this max, we're looking at Vince Carter. We're looking at a bunch of mid-level minimum salary guys that you probably don't even know that they're still in the league. LeBron.
Anybody have Mike Cain?
Take a little bit less. Take a little bit less money. We'll go get you Marvin Williams to add to the mix, or somebody else like that, or Jordan Crawford, or some random player.
Here's what I would say, and I love LeBron. I'm repping the USA number 6 right now to support USA in soccer. That's all I got. Okay, I love LeBron. He's my favorite player. I'd be like, look. All right, we will go call up your buddy Warren Buffett. We'll go find 3 more Beats deals that can help you out a little bit, and we'll get you the money that you're going to give up. But we have Lowry in our pocket, and we don't want to be using Ray Allen needs all the benefits from that AARP card, okay? We don't have enough to bring in Sean Marion and company to do this. We gotta stay youthful, and I agree with that. I think that's a good idea. If you have Lowry, go talk to LeBron, take a pay cut. Makes sense.
I can't agree with the whole, LeBron getting the max deal though. I mean, it just seems so atypical.
It doesn't make sense.
He deserves it. There's no denying that. He's already, he deserves twice that. He deserves the whole salary cap and a bunch of scrubs. But he had that in Cleveland. That's why he came to Miami.
How has he never made the most money on his team before? Who are they paying in Cleveland? Who in God's name were they playing in Cleveland that made more than him? How? Bergeron? Boobie Gibson? Delonte West? What?
Yeah, so I think he.
So let's look at what's going on. We've talked about point guards a lot. If they do sign Lowry, it basically leaves a huge hole at center. Okay, and I think David talked about Jameer Nelson a little bit, and I think that's a really interesting option for them. Is that let's say that Lowry ship has sailed. Now, do you look at a guy like Jameer Nelson, a veteran, who they did regret passing up on in the 2004 draft? They took Darrell Wright, a pick before Jameer Nelson was chosen. I think that could be a little dangerous trying to, rebuff for old mistakes, 9 years later down the road with a player that's not clearly not the same player he was. So you're looking at basically Nelson or Chalmers possibly at that point. Do you basically just say, all right, we're done with Chalmers. Let's just let that guy go. Let's go sign Jameer Nelson. We know what he is. He's a stopgap guy. Chalmers is still going to hold out saying he's the best player on the team for as long as he's on the Heat. You kind of get Nelson as a stopgap guy, keep developing Cole, continue and develop Shabazz Napier.
Right.
There's 2 interesting options there, and Nelson, there's going to be a learning curve there. If you just retain Chalmers, he knows basically what's going on already. that's a tough call if you're Pat Riley.
I was afraid of Chalmers going somewhere else because of somebody who's going to pay him, and then pay him money and take him away from us. But now after these finals, no offense to him, but I mean, Rio himself knows it. He was lost for most of the finals. And hey, what's up, Brian? And you know, I mean, I think that it doesn't make sense to me to let or it doesn't make sense to me somebody's going to pay Chalmers all that money now after that performance. I think there's still hope to maybe bring him back.
I think he's young enough where he'll command some money out there in the market. Maybe not the contract he had envisioned before the finals, but he'll still get his money. And I think Miami's done with him at this point. I think it'd be great.
Really?
Yeah, I think it'd be great to think that Riley has any loyalty, but I don't see it.
But why though? Like why? Like let's say, what if somebody doesn't offer him a big contract? If he's still there to sign for reasonable money, you think that he like? I'm just curious. I'm not questioning you.
Yeah. But what's reasonable? I mean, the veteran minimum. I mean, that's all he's gonna. I mean, I think that's all Riley thinks he deserves at this point after his performance. I mean, it'd be great to see that. You know, you can bring him back into the fold, but you know what you're going to get with Rio. You're not going to get much at this point going forward at this stage in his career, so why not continue developing younger guys that might have a bigger window, you know, or somewhere else to go. We've seen the very best of Mario Chalmers. He's not going to get any better, and there's a very good chance he'll get worse.
But Jameer Nelson, though, that's my I don't understand. I don't see how that's. It's like trading apple. I mean, not apples and oranges. That's the wrong analogy. I don't know. It's like they're both. Nelson's older, right?
Right, much older.
So yeah, that's what I thought. So I mean.
But he's a stopgap, like Wes said. So I mean, he's just there to be a bench player. Maybe he won't start. You still get Norris Cole as your starter, but you've got a guy who can come in off the bench like Norris couldn't do in the finals and knock down a couple of 3-pointers. Yeah. He could run that pick and roll with Chris Bosh to death. He'd kill people with that. I mean, I think he's a great option.
Yeah.
I might be the last holdout Mario Chalmers fan, but there's no doubt Nelson outplayed Chalmers last season, and he'd likely sign for less money than Chalmers. So there's that to consider. But we finally got Ryan Smith, fellow allyoucanheat.com writer, going over here online. What's going on, Ryan?
How you guys doing? It took a while, but I guess we're all set now.
Hey, we finally figured out the Google Hangout thing.
Yeah, I guess I had to go on my folder and click the view button and download it manually, and it was just a long process, but I think we're all set now.
Right on.
There we go. Glad to have you back. So we were discussing Kyle Lowry or Luol Deng basically at the very beginning of the show. Everybody said one of them. It was kind of unanimous between those two.
I don't know how I feel about Lowry. That's who I want. That's the man. Give me Lowry over anyone out there right now. Like, I really believe they need that. They need Lowry. I can't take another Chalmers here. I can't do it.
Rio.
So what is it that you see in Lowry that you think makes him the next step for Miami?
Chalmers 2.0.
I don't get it, because I think he's like a slight upgrade over Chalmers. I don't think he's that substantially an upgrade to pay him the money he's asking or he's looking for. And then at the same time, you have to. I mean, historically, the NBA guys always do well on contract years.
Yeah, contract.
By the way, David and I have talked about this a couple different times on the podcast, and he's a firm believer that Lowry stepped it up for his contract year. So keep that in mind in answering this question.
I agree.
Well, that's true, but it was also a contract year for Chalmers, and look what happened.
That's why we're done with it. That's why we're moving on then.
Bench at the end of the year. So, I mean, Lowry went out with fire in that Nets series, so I mean, Chalmers is on the bench, both contract years, so.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I think in that sense, then Lowry definitely represents a better option than Rio, but I don't think either of them are the option for Miami. I mean, that's just my take on it anyway.
I just feel like with Lowry, you're not going to have to, have LeBron switch on the point guard every 5 minutes and shut him down because Chalmers can't handle it. He's just a liability. He can't cover any of the point guards. He can't cover Rose. He can't cover Rondo. He can't cover Parker. I just feel like Lowry's a more physical, bigger. He's gonna be able to handle it. Chalmers, you don't know what you're getting.
For the Heat, I think it's just key to have somebody that can facilitate the offense in the playoffs. Because Chalmers actually did a decent job in the regular season, but in the playoffs, when they start pressing and things get a little bit more intense, when defenses kick it up a notch, Chalmers just really seemed out of sorts in the playoffs, which is weird because he doesn't usually seem like that. So management's got to really make a decision here. Was this a fluke? Was this just a weird cold streak by Chalmers at a bad time, or are we about to move on from this guy? But basically, Lowry or not, they need to find a point guard that can basically facilitate the offense and let LeBron get situated in the post, because I think that was the biggest thing is LeBron's bringing that ball up. He can't really be that post player that he wants to be in the playoffs.
That's what I do too.
LeBron, get in the post, drive to the basket, but he's got to take the ball from one side of the court to the other. That's tough for 48 minutes to do, And if they can get a point guard that can just not screw up for about 5 seconds, let LeBron get situated in the post, then that makes the entire process a lot easier.
Hey, I don't know about the rest of you, but if I'm playing 2K, I'm always taking Rio out and putting LeBron at the point. So, I mean, if we're going to that standard.
Then... out for Allen, so.
I'm pretty sure that's what Pat Riley's doing, too. He just plays 2K until he figures out, I like this combo.
Put LeBron at the point and surround him with shooters and leave Bosh in there at center. He comes up top of the key, dish it to him. He's going to hit that every time. That's what happens in 2K. That's what's going to happen now.
This is the analytics movement at work, guys. This is it. All right, so basically we've talked about a lot of point guards, but we haven't talked about any centers. Let's assume Marcin Gortat.
Interrupt for a second.
Let's assume Gortat's priced out, though, from Miami. Let's go and assume that for argument, because I think, obviously, if they can afford him, they're going after that guy. There's other guys like Pau Gasol, who I think is interesting, and Spencer Hawes was mentioned in a couple different reports. I'm not sure I like that. And there's definitely my personal favorite, if you consider what he brings, how he fits with Miami, and possible price point, is Jordan Hill from the Lakers. But is there a center out there? And then I have my dark horse center, who I got when it's my turn to talk again. I'll tell you about. I think I might have mentioned this to David. He might know who I'm talking about here. But who is the kind of center that you're looking at? Because Miami basically needs to add somebody.
You guys care if I interrupt for a second?
No, go ahead.
I just got a text from my friend that Gortat just signed 5 years, $60 with Washington.
No, he didn't.
Oh, Polish hammer!
Did he really sign?
Yeah, 5 years, $60 million.
Are we sure it wasn't Bieber?
Well, he can't sign, but I mean, he agreed to it.
Verbal commitment.
So I was right, basically. I assumed that Gortat would be priced out of the Heat, and I was right.
Wow.
Hey, all it takes is one conversation with Shaq on national television. You're going to get the big bucks, okay? That's all it takes.
Yeah. All right, so Gortat's off the table. Who's the top center available for the Heat? Let's
Jermaine O'Neal. Just kidding. Just totally kidding. Totally kidding.
I like Chris Kaman. I think he's a good option for Miami. What do you think? Do you think is he a possibility? I mean, we could get 5 of the top 6 picks from the 2003 draft in there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our. Is that going to be the consensus here?
No.
I can do Chris Kaman. I don't know.
Okay, I'm from Indy, okay? So call me biased, call me whatever you want, but I want one season or a half a year or summer league or something. Just let Odin play. Let him play, and if he gets hurt, okay, fine. We had a good run. It was a great story. That's awesome. But for me, yeah, it was awesome to see him play in an NBA Finals game. Great for the city. He was probably one of the best high school players to ever come through here, ever. And in Indy, not the whole Midwest, because LeBron, I'm just saying in Indy. But I want to see him get a fair shot at it, unless he's really just incapable of doing it. I want to see him one more year, let him run, let him play, and if he can't do it health-wise, all right, fine. Just call it quits.
Oh.
Wes, you're on twice. I see double. Wes.
Oh, there's two of me going on right now?
Yeah. We had both cameras. We had side view and pocket view.
So Ryan, who's your pick for a center for Miami then? If not Chris Kaman or Odin.
I like Kaman though, but I think Odin, by the way.
Well, what are we saying? Are we saying that Birdman is definitely not coming back?
I think he's going. I mean, unless he's going to take less money. But what I've heard is that he's going to. I mean, sorry. What I've heard, and by what I've heard, I'm not going to pretend like I'm one of them up at the national stage. From the reports that I've read, so from the sources, it's that Birdman's going to come to the table and probably ask for a little bit more than last year. I think it all depends on what else we do in the offseason. But I really think. No, I take that back. I think that people were wrong in saying that, like, Riley, everybody's waiting around what they're going to do. I think that at least if they are staying together, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh know what they're going to do. I think Birdman and other people like that are just waiting for the rest of the chips to fall, personally. So, I mean...
I think we should assume here that, obviously, Udonis Haslam's coming back. You can count him as a power forward or a center.
Can't believe he opted out. I mean, props to UD. He didn't have to do that. Like, him and Wade both surprised me completely.
Instead of sitting him on the bench. That'd be nice.
Let's assume here that Anderson and Haslam are back, because I still think there's a good chance that Anderson re-signs, because I don't know where he's going to get more money. Dallas, Houston, maybe. I think ultimately he's trying to play the market, maybe get a little bit of a raise, but I just have this weird feeling that he comes back. But if the Heat are really going to... What's weird, they've had the fourth slowest pace in the NBA in the regular season last year. That doesn't say play Bosh at the 5. That was kind of inefficient of them. I think if they're going to look to add a big center, or maybe not a big center, but maybe a little bit more of a center, somebody that can play alongside Bosh, because Anderson is getting up there in age. Haslam just can't play on the court anymore. He's going to basically be Juwan Howard next year.
Whoa.
That's a bold...
Whoa. Haslam's got that leg strength. Big Roy got nothing.
So they're going to be looking for somebody. I really like the fit that Jordan Hill brings, because he's a little bit of a bigger body than what they have. He's a very good rebounder. You know, his rebounding rate, he didn't see the court as much as he probably should have on the Lakers for the last couple of years, but he's got a terrific rebounding rate, and he could basically just stand in front of guys and allow Bosh to maybe play more of a forward position, where he could kind of cover power forwards and play more of a power forward position on offense, which would make him, free him up on that side of the ball, maybe make him more of that number 2 option, bypass, and upserve Wade in that sense, which I think is the main thing for the Heat going forward, is Bosh being the true number 2 option, not Wade. You have Bosh and LeBron as your 2 main scorers. That's a title contender right there. Just fill out the roster with anything other than cow manure, and you're good in the East. So I think that should be kind of the direction they go in, and he's probably going to be pretty cheap. Everybody going from the Lakers after last season, that Laker effect that they had, that's going to cost everybody about $1 million to $2 million a year. I really feel like that. So.
Did he not get a lot of playing time because he didn't fit D'Antoni's system, whatever the hell that was in LA? Whatever system he had.
System. Right.
The D'Antoni offense is beautiful, right alongside the D'Antoni defense.
Well, they really liked Ryan Kelly, and they just really wanted to play him a lot.
Ryan Kelly equals all-star. Ryan Kelly equals MVP. # we were all witnesses.
You're first. Okay. So that was strictly Jimmy. That was nobody else on the spot. Don't do that to allyoucanheat.com, and then.
Okay. Beasley for Kevin Love, sign and trade straight up. Okay, I said it.
All right, easy. Who knows? We might have a blog post up on the site pretty soon about that.
Yeah, so sources,
So, you got Hill. I really like, and this is dark horse out of bounds, coming from nowhere, Greg Steensma.
You've been all over.
Okay, you remember him? Some cool battles when he was on the Celtics. I like Steensma. He's a little bit athletic, not crazy. He's a big body. He knows defense. He was played under Doc Rivers for a little while. He's coached up. And you could probably get him for next to nothing. Why not give him a shot, right? If you're going to replace Odin with somebody, why not him?
No,
keep Gio. Well, he was injured last year, but more healthy than Odin.
Keep Gio. Keep him.
I kind of like the idea of bringing in maybe Chris Humphries to, kind of pick him up.
I like Humphries. I like Humphries.
You're laughing, so I guess it's not a good choice. But I see him being a complimentary piece to Bosch if you want to keep him there.
I don't like Humphries. That's why I laughed. Not that it's a bad idea. I'm not a fan of Humphries in general. Not as a player.
So basically, Jimmy's starting lineup is Kevin Love. We got Michael Beasley. We traded him for Kevin Love. We got Greg Oden starting at center. That's Jimmy.
Well, I was gonna say Wade. Yeah. I was gonna say Wade, but the Melo Wade thing isn't happening, obviously. So Wade Kevin Love isn't happening. Let's be honest.
Okay, but I like the Chris Humphries idea because he's got that whole weird Kardashian thing going on in the background, like you can tell he wants to run away from that. Maybe he wants to be make this kind of
run away
life where he's all about the rings, just all about basketball now. I just have this feeling that Humphries is going to do this, and all he wants to do is play basketball. He's not going to try to score. He just wants to play good defense and rebound hard, hit the glasses. This is just going to be the new Humphries, like St. Humphries kind of thing here, and the Heat could just go and sign him for next to nothing. Not next to nothing, but maybe the mid-level exception or pretty cheap. And now all of a sudden we got this banger on the boards. You look at a lineup with Bosch and Humphries starting in the front court, Beasley, Haslam coming, Rashard Lewis, guys like that coming off the bench to add some athleticism into the mix. Chris Anderson coming off the bench. That's a pretty good front line.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I suggested it. Before the laughing started, I thought it was actually a pretty good idea. But I mean,
I'm sorry. I don't like Chris Humphries. I was not laughing at you or the idea. I just am not a fan of Chris Humphries in general.
No, I get it.
So I'm sorry. The fact that he was on the card, the fact that an NBA star is just kicking it with the Kardashians. Sorry, Lamar. Is just beyond me. So but that's just a personal vendetta, and then the breakup, and then all that, and I'm not a Humphries guy. But
I think that's actually a plus though, because that means he's got the experience being in front of the cameras and with the media circus that follows Miami around.
The media card. No, I get it. It makes everything that you guys said point-wise makes sense. So I do take back my laughter. It was just the fact that I never expected to hear Chris Humphries' names, but everything you said makes sense, though. So.
Oh, did we lose Wes?
Well, I can't see you anymore, David. I can only see your profile pic.
Oh, I think we're all out. I think he wound up maybe jumping off of the.
We're still live. We're still live, everybody. That's all I know. Even though Wes accidentally left. And there he is. Hey, he's back. Woo-hoo.
There you go. I had to switch to my phone, guys. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
I can't believe this is working.
We were about to have to have a trio of hosts over here in a panel, and I didn't know what to do. I was like, all right, well, so Beasley, Kevin Love, that's a thing, right?
All right. So what do the Heat need to add, though? I mean, this is really tough considering that you don't know what LeBron's doing. You don't know what Wade or Bosch are doing at this point. But assuming that they're going to have around $12 to $18 million in cap space, and that's being generous at that high, but they basically just need to add shooters. I mean, I feel like we're all really overreacting to how bad the Spurs beat them. But if you think about it, they were still the second-best team in the league last season. I don't think there was a doubt. But they just – imagine if Shane Battier and Chalmers are hitting their shots that series. That completely takes a turn. They really don't need to add much. If you think about the 2 years where they won, they had somebody to legitimately play along with Bosch. If they could just find a legitimate player next to Bosch, who was Battier and Haslam those 2 different years, they just need to find – neither of them were necessarily stellar power forwards. Just find somebody decent that can stay on the court for 25 minutes a game. Add some youth, add some fresh legs, and the Heat should be right back in things.
Here's my fear with all of this. And I'm not saying this my personal belief. I'm just saying critically you could make the case that the last 2 years the Heat have ran into the best that the West has to offer. And if Ray Allen doesn't go Jesus Shuttleworth, thank God he did, we're one missed shot away from the yellow tape being insignificant and a championship being celebrated on Miami's home floor. Now, all that being said, though, we won. That's all that matters. We lost this year, but the Spurs, for both those series, looked like the better team until we hit games 5, 6, and 7 in 2013. And this year, they definitely look like the better team for pretty much the whole series, other than game 1 and game 2.
Well, what I'll say about last season is that every game was close, though, and that's really all you ask for.
You
don't build a team saying we need to be better than all the other 29 teams. What you do is you build a team that you believe can get to the championship and compete in every single game, at least for 4 of those games, and then you let luck and health and everything else that kind of takes over at that point.
LeBron and the 07 Cavs, though, I think could get to the if you put LeBron 07 Cavs on this Eastern Conference team, other than the Pacers playing perfect for 4 straight games, I think they still make it to the finals. I don't think you're right. You don't have to beat 29 teams. Hell, in all honesty, you don't have to beat the whole Eastern Conference because, I mean, unless D Rose gets healthy and Melo goes there, the Pacers are still your biggest threat.
Yeah,
so
but
really all you have to worry about is the West.
Melo gets killed in the finals, though. Like
Exactly. And so I genuinely think I'd love to have Lowry, but if you get Lowry and LeBron won't get a pay cut, and LeBron's not going to take less money, and he's off the table essentially, I think role players is your best way to go. And I mean, just come what may, I mean, hopefully Wade's a little bit healthier. Hopefully. My biggest thing with role players is LeBron says he doesn't want to have to play as many minutes as he did. Well, if you're still going to get a 2 seed in the East, I mean, the East is crap, all that good stuff, but there's still some quality teams here and there that can beat you on any given night. You need role players that can withstand minutes, and I don't see how a really older bench, we did it this year, sure, but an older bench in some facets of it is going to carry us to a 2nd seed.
Okay, so let's propose this idea then. I have a roster. I just drew it up. Does this...
Wes Goldberg for head coach / GM. Yes.
Whoa, easy. I'm very happy in my role as editor of All You Can Eat. Jameer Nelson,